everybody. There it is. Nope, that's not it. There it is. Hold up, wait. Can you see it? Can I zoom in? I'm sure you can see it. I can't zoom in. You see that little black bird? It's been chilling there for the longest. Hello, everyone. So it's me. There we go. I had to flip it. I am. Excuse me. I'm in London right now. It kind of just happened. And by it kind of just happened, I mean, I was going back and forth, but in myself for like a week ish. And then eventually I was like, the tickets are the most expensive they're going to be like all year. And Eve, good morning. Good morning. How are you? Um, I was like, well, the tickets are the least expensive they're going to be like all year. So, might as well. I booked Saturday afternoon and flew out Sunday evening. So, and it was like I had to wait 4 hours on the plane, or 4 hours in the airport. It was a 8 hour flight, and then it was so weird. Like there were so many complications. Like the flight was only delayed 15 minutes, but they were like, "Oh, since the plane came in late, like we're gonna have to." How are you? Did I ask how you're doing? They're like, "Oh, since the plane came in late, we're gonna have to like the maintenance crew or whatever is gonna have to look at it." Thank you. Oh, snap! It's my brother. What up, bro? How are you doing? Did you see my text? um, excuse me. So now I'm trying to beat jet lag by staying awake all day today. I'm only 6 hours ahead, but I would go like an hour between Central and Eastern, and it would completely throw my sleep schedule. Oh, okay. I was like, yeah, it's early over there. It's 1:30. Yeah, it's like 1:30. Um, but yeah, so they were like, "Oh, since the plane came in late, we're gonna have to have the crew look at it to make sure it's safe to fly." So I'm like, um, and then they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna have to clean it and stuff." And then we had to wait to take off for some reason. So we flew in. We actually got here. My bus, I took a shuttle to the airport. That was like half an hour early. And I was already going to be waiting like 4 hours to catch my flight. And I was like, great. Now it's 4.5 hours. Um, Not complaining though, because, I made it safely. Um, and then we got here, I think a little later. And they were like, oh, it's foggy or whatever. So we're probably going to be in a holding pattern. So we finally land. And then they're like, there's technical issues with the jet bridge. So the engineers are out looking. The engineers are inspecting the jet bridge. Like, sorry, folks, we can't like get off the plane yet. And I was like, what? I've never had that issue before. Where they're like, oh yeah, the thing that gets us off of the plane, it's not working. So in my brain, I'm like, so are we gonna use like we gonna bust out the inflatables and just slide down the plane or something? But no, they connected it to the front of the plane. So this is interesting. I flew economy, like basic economy. I don't really know airplane stuff, but I flew basic economy. And I had a thought, I was like, I could upgrade. But then I was like, no, like it's not that serious. And then my journey buddy, she was like, hey, I have a thought. Like you could upgrade. And I was like, I thought about it, but no, I'm not gonna do it. Um, but they couldn't get the jet bridge to connect to like the economy, the main cabin or whatever. So we had to go through what I'm assuming is business class. Um, and so I got to see it, and I'm like, wow, okay. But yeah, and then so I was supposed to land at like 7:50. I landed at like almost 9 o'clock. It was after nine actually, because I got on, and like the Elizabeth line is so nice because it goes like all the way to Heathrow. That's like the train or whatever. Um, and brain, yeah, I ended up getting here at like 10 o'clock rather than like nine. It was, so I guess it was only an hour. But I arrived day before yesterday, and I didn't bring like any cards. I think this is the first time I've traveled in a hot second without bringing any cards. But last time I came, I brought the Diceology cards, I think, and they were in a tin, and it was in my suitcase. And she was like, is there something in here? I was like, well, there's like a metal tin that some cards are in. Um, so I might pick up a deck. I might not. I know, right? No cards. No cards. It's wild. I was like, I feel like this is the longest I haven't used cards since I started using cards. But honestly, I don't like, I feel like I'm more in a habit of using cards. And I'll have ideas of like stuff to read, but when I had like the thought to go and actually like do it, it was like, no. So, and then I do um, I guess personals every now and then for like specific people. Um, and I was like, yeah, I haven't been, I feel like I've been like semi intentionally pulled away from them lately. Um, I mean, honestly, if there was like a store within walking distance, I would probably already have it. Um, I think I'm gonna go to the store I went to last time I was here because it's next to the sexy French waffle place, and those were so good, and I want another one. I was kind of gonna go today. I think I might wait until tomorrow though. I mean, it's already 1:30. Yeah, I think I might wait until tomorrow to go. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I'll be here for like 3 weeks this time, so this will be the longest that I'm here. And it's funny because my friend, I had a thought. I was like, what if I like apply for jobs while I'm over here? And my friend was like, hey, like, there's an opening at the company I work for. We just found out that somebody's leaving. I was like, um, but lately it just seems that like I've seen so many messages. I've heard so many messages. I know, right? And because my friend, he was like, like you're not working right now, so why not? Like I'm still getting severance because I ended up working up until my termination day. And I was like, I'm not gonna have 3 weeks of vacation. Um, I mean, I guess I take that back because I could get a new job that pays well and gives me time. I will, but I was like, I was kind of going stir crazy, kind of doing loops and spirals in my head because I feel like I have been seeing so much like, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. You've done everything that you need to do. Congratulations. And I'm like, okay. Like, I love that. I love that for me. But, oh, thanks, Eve. I have to make it to Texas sometime. I'm just playing. Um, but it's like you've done everything you need to do, like you've learned all your lessons, and At first it was like super like confirmation. I'm like, okay, like everything I've been feeling guided and led to do, I've done. Everything I've been guided and led to heal, I've healed. I've faced a lot. I made it through this job. Um, and it was good for a few days, but then it was like, so what am I supposed to do? Like if I don't have anything to like heal or any like if I'm not working, it was like free time that I haven't had in a while, I guess. At first when I stopped working I was going a little stir crazy, but then I rediscovered video games and anime. And that helped a lot. Um and so that was that. But then it was like there's been like this year so far has been so weird in that like maybe it's because Saturn is still in Aquarius. I mean, I guess I'm probably still in orb for my Saturn return. Because like January 6th was the last time it conjuncted exactly, but that was just a few weeks ago. And Saturn is kind of slow. So maybe it also goes to like highlight and illuminate things for me to be conscious of. So, like, one of the things that I wanted, so this is where like I talk about where I've been personally. This is post. You've done everything that you need. Like you're good. You don't have anything to heal, Patrick. Um, it's like there are things that there's this contradiction. I guess this is the best way to frame it. There have been things that I've been saying that I want, and I've been like, the Six of Pentacles is a card that means a lot to me, for obvious reasons. If you know about the Six of Pentacles, it's not too. I mean, I feel like you can guess why I would love that energy of reciprocity. Anyway, so there are things that it's like I want to be able to give this and I want to be able to do that, and it's been my experience within the past month. Today is the 25th. So within the past like month and a half. Well, let's say like honestly within the past year, but more specifically within the past like month and a half, where it's like I've been able to give and I've been able to help out people, both like people that I care about and people that I don't necessarily know personally. Um, and it feels like that's what I'm a giver. I love giving. Um, and so I was running this like, and it's so funny. I'll just keep talking. So I've been running this like I want to give. I want to be solid enough that I can give, and I want to like be able to give freely. Um, it was about a year ago. It'll be a year in a few weeks where so I got a gift from Russ last it was before I started working. So it was probably like oh, that would have been 2021. That was like last year was a whole year. Oh gosh. It was like over the summer 2021. Um and I had like I didn't really want to receive it because it was like, well, I don't want to just accept it, but I had to go through a whole thing about learning to receive. Like that's why it took me so long to put up like excuse me my wish list and other things. But I received it because I felt that it was important, and then Russ was like, I'm glad that you received this, and like once I learned how to receive, that's when things started coming in. And so I've been put in a position, I've been fortunate enough to be able to give. And I've also been fortunate enough for it to be received, which again is something that I said I wanted, right? Um, And so within the past month, I'm trying to like, I feel like I'm trying to frame this in a certain context without like, uh, the specifics don't matter. Okay. So I don't really need anything right now. Currently at this moment, no. I was because I'm like, oof, I'm unemployed. But then it's like I'm taken care of right now. Right now, I don't really need anything. Um, but there was this in my head. It was like, it's so interesting. This give and receive dynamic polarity, I guess, is one that I've been playing out because it's like I want to be able to give, but at the same time, like I didn't want to receive certain things, if that makes sense. And it didn't really click for me until after I booked and after I was on my way here. Um, because I know that like I'm in a holding pattern of sorts. I know that I'm resting. Honestly, like after I made it, it feels almost like a victory lap from the past year and all of the lessons that it brought. It felt like a little bit of a karmic reward from navigating my Saturn return. A little, gift from Saturn. It's like, okay, here's, the money that you got from working. You got time, go and see your friend. And what's interesting is like oh, I feel like I said that recently. I talked about it in a video recently when I was pulling some cards. There was an energy of like a gift that keeps giving or something like that. Or it's like there's something that starts with one thing, but it unfolds into more and more. So, like, I came on the trip, and my friend works at a company that is based in a few different countries. Um, and so he works with like the European division or whatever. And so he was like, every now and then I get sent out to some country in Europe and blah, blah, blah. The country in Europe is like Italy. And so I'm excited because Italy's been on my list I mean, I took Latin in high school. So it's like Rome has been on my list because I've taken Latin, but it's never, I feel like to say it's on my list is a little extreme. Like I'm excited that I have the potential to be able to go, but it's not like I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to go to Rome. You know what I mean? But now it might happen, and I might get to go somewhere else. And so again, that's why it almost feels like a little bit of a Saturn return victory lap in the middle of this resting, coming down off of the pasture, while also at the same time digging deeper into certain things and positioning myself to be able to Mount Vesuvius. uh, so, it's at the same time I'm also preparing for. I'm gonna fill up my water. I'm also preparing for like what the next chapter, right? So as I'm preparing for the next chapter, um, again, it was that like, is this still there? No, it left. Little birdie's gone. Oh, you remember that from high school Latin? Okay. I remember the only like the sentence I remember is what ego sum rex romanis et super grammaticam, which is like I am the king of Rome and above grammar. That's like the only thing I remember. Well, it's not the only thing I remember. I also remember like phrases like "Doom sparrow, sparrow, while I breathe, I hope." Um, Arawa awis, a rare bird, stuff like that. Speaking of the bird, I saw seagulls. I got because hold up, wait. So Canary Wharf is, where is it? Oh, I disconnected, reconnected. You see her? Oh yeah, she's right here. That's the Billingsgate Market or whatever. There's Canary Wharf. I saw the seagulls. I was greeted by a seagull. That was me struggling to get back inside. I was like, ah. Anyway, I saw the seagulls. I was so excited. And then yesterday morning, there were more seagulls. And then my friend was like, oh, send me a picture of the view or whatever. And there were like two little seagulls perched right there. And they come and they just like fly. I don't know. I love seagulls. It's been crows and seagulls. Excuse me, or blackbirds. They sound like crows, but I don't know. They could be ravens. I don't know. But anyway, um, so yeah, I've just been thinking like I feel like 2022. I'm pretty sure it was on this channel where I pulled the cards. I think it was after I came back from a chalk, or was I on the chalk? No, I pulled them, and then I came and I talked about them on a chalk. And I got Thorn as the card for like what I was ending. And it was that giant thorny portal. And it was that energy of like exiting the portal exactly where I entered it. And that's when I was talking about like, I'm 22, 22. That's when I was like, I'm in my room unemployed watching anime. And if I look at what I'm doing, it's like I've been here before. But the circumstances are completely different. I'm completely different. Um, and so, like, the first half of the year was very like me learning to use my voice in like in a professional way. Because, like, I learned how to do it in other ways through this medium here, this channel that you've all witnessed to various degrees, I'm sure. But the beginning of the year was like to like learn how to stand up for myself in work and stuff like that. It is because I was like, whoa, what? And there wasn't a part of me, but it's also been like if I think 2020. I think one of the lessons, repeating themes or motifs of 2020 for me was that like making certain choices and decisions it's like I would make the same choice that I would used to make, but for a completely different reason. And so, like, there were things that I would do or ways that I would interact with people. Kirsty, I'm in your country. I am in your homeland. How are you? I booked Saturday afternoon, flew out Sunday evening, and now I'm here. I'll be here until February 13th. Well, I might be in Italy for a part of that, for the later part, but I go home on the 13th. I guess I'll have to be back here because my ticket is from Heathrow. I guess I could get a connecting, but anyway. So you did, yeah. I was debating for like a solid week because my friend was like, he was like, well, it was like literally the least expensive time to come. Like getting a next day flight was less expensive than like waiting what like 2 weeks or a week. Like from the first day I looked, a next day flight out would have been like four something. When I ended up booking, it was like five something. Um, which I'm just like, what? And then I was like looking later, and it was like way a lot more than that. So I was like, oh, I guess I'm going. But I was like, should I go? Should I not go? Which plays into this whole like, it's almost hard to talk about it without talking about it. So what was I saying? 2020. I think a lot of 2020 was like, and then like into 2021 was making choices and decisions that I would have made in the past but for a completely different reason. And since it was motivated by something different, since it was, which is that's come up again. Um, it's like since the energy that I held when I made that choice and decision was different, since I was at a different frequency and vibration, it's like even though from the outside the decision looked the same or similar, it was different. Um, and so I guess that was a preview of like coming out of that portal where it's like everything is exactly the same, but I'm different. And because I'm different, and because I navigated inside of that portal different, my circumstances are different, um, which was cool. I wonder if any. Yeah, because also like it's a little warmer, I think, than home. Apparently, they might be getting the snow something too. I'm like, ooh, well, that might not happen here. But when we were in the air, they're like, oh, it's 22 degrees, which is like -4 Celsius. I'm like, I did not leave. High 30s. Honestly, not even high 30s. It was like low 30s. It was around freezing. So between like zero, maybe like one below and like two above Celsius. I was like, I did not leave that to come to like -4. But also, excuse me, at the same time, it's the middle of winter. So, you know. It has? Okay. I'm glad. Yeah, because it was like high 40s, I think. Fahrenheit. I was like, oh, that's not too bad. Excuse me. I've gotten away with not having to turn up the heat. So I'm not complaining. Um, so yeah, I don't have any cards though. I might go to, I forget what the store was, and pick up a deck. It'll probably happen. I'm also supposed to be looking at like weekend stuff to do. I want to go to Northern Ireland. Well, I want to go to Ireland, but or Northern Ireland while I'm here this time. I didn't get to go to Scotland last time. Maybe I'll go to Wales. You know, who knows? Excuse me. Today, my task is to stay awake all day. So anyway, so that's what happened. Like I was going back and forth with myself, and I feel like one of the things that the later half of 2022, like the later third, honestly, because what's a third of a year? 3 months. The later, maybe the later quarter, 4 months. Q4 into like September. Did like I talked to another one of my friends. Were the burr months like different from the rest of 2022 for y'all as well? Like September, October, November, December. And it's funny because a new metaphysical shop opened up in my hometown, and I was like, "What?" Uh, which is currently funding my card addiction. Not funding, it's supplying, I guess. Um, and I ended up getting a reading in August just to, see, right? And what came out was like, the harvest season is gonna be interesting for you. September, October, November, December. And it was like those felt like, and even like December almost feels not non-existent, but December feels like it was just like this in between month that I guess I'm out of question mark. I don't even know. September, October feel like that was like a solid little bit. November was like, excuse me, it feels like November was this like, it led to the climax and then the denouement. I think, I don't remember plot devices, but it's like it got really busy. I mean, it was busy before then, but it seemed like November got like kind of hectic. It ramped up quick and then it started to peter out until December. And then December was just like not a void month, but it was like there. Yeah, I'm like, okay. Cause it was like, I don't know, it was weird. It's almost like maybe like this, it felt like the year ended in December, like mid December, maybe. And I don't think it was just because that's when, I mean, it's a part of it for me personally, of course. That's when I got severed. Um, that's when I fulfilled my contract and then was terminated. But I feel like even before that, it was like, I guess it's almost like it would have been like a review period, maybe, but it was like there was nothing to review or something. It's almost like a debrief or something, or like the Q&A after a presentation. And if you like, since the presentation is over, like you can go home. Like either you can stay for the Q&A session, you can stay, like you can watch the credits, sit in the theater to see if there's a scene after the credits, or you can just like leave because the movie is over. It was almost like that. Um, and then that went into like January for me. Um, but anyway, I wonder if it was a 13 moon lunar year. The only reason why I say I wonder if it was a 13 moon lunar year, because I know like some of them are 12 and some of them are 13. And maybe like that 13th one was just like, you know what I mean? Until the lunar new year where it's like, okay, now we're going. I don't know. But that last little bit for me, I guess, was the when this whole like adjustment period started. Because it's like now I'm not working at all. Um, it's like there isn't anything pressing in my life. And I've been in positions in my life before that were similar in that like I wasn't really hyper focused on doing something or my time wasn't being consumed by something that I needed to do. But before in my life, it's because I was avoiding other things. It's because I was procrastinating or engaging in escapism, being a little elusive Pisces. I have no responsibilities, you know. Um, and so I guess again, like I said, like coming out, it's like coming out of the giant thorny portal. It's like I come out where I went in, but everything is different. So anyway, also I stopped drinking water, which was wild, because I guess I mean I wasn't going to work, so like at work I drank a lot of water, like from December 16th to January, like the first week of January, I filled up my water thing once. I was like, oh gosh. Ooh, I was in a carbonated beverage and juices heavy, whatever. Um, so I guess like December, no, because like December it ended okay. It was like after January started. So like it's weird. I feel like, well, I mean, like if y'all aren't new to my channel, y'all know that I basically ramble in circles until I hopefully make the point or talk about the thing I was gonna talk about, or I might not. I might just like forget, get lost on a tangent and never come back. So one of the things for me, it's like I I said like there's this thread, there's this pathway, there's this unfolding of events that I can see because for the past however many days, weeks, months, it's almost like if limitless potential, if the future is a series of threads um, that are somewhat woven together, somewhat not, and like all of these different potential ways and pathways that we can go are like different threads. It's like within the past few months, other threads have been darkening, and one of them has been getting like brighter. Um, the thread that's been getting brighter holds a lot of Aksunare energy, and Aksunare is this word that came to my mind when I was like in that in between of like being like going to sleep but not yet fully asleep, and it was like kusunare, and then I looked it up and Aksunare popped up, and now when I try to look it up I don't find it. But Aksunare is the brilliant dawn. The brilliant dawn can be blinding, and it's brilliant and it can be blinding because it's when we experience light where there was always a dark night of the soul. And so for me, the last quarter of 2022 was Aksunare. And I'm pretty sure I talked about it on here when I was like how like being happy was one of my biggest triggers. And like I I didn't realize, and it still kind of blows my mind a little bit how I guess like I almost want to say I didn't realize how contented I was, but I knew I was. But something about those last few months of 2022 and that the thread that kept getting brighter and brighter as other ones like dimmed, and like the everything of that thread, it triggered me. I was like, ooh. But I was also like, this is literally like I made a post or whatever. I was talking to my journey buddy, and I'm like, I feel like again, like Saturn, like in my Saturn return, I feel like I was blessed because as challenging as it was in some parts and as difficult as it was, it really like everything, like the reason why I started my journey, like the things that I wanted to heal, the things that I wanted to work through, like I'm not gonna say it's complete, but it's done. I've done all that I need to do. I've navigated in a way mistakes, challenges that I didn't rise to, successes, victories, everything all together. I've done everything that I needed to do. And I was talking to my journey buddy, and I cried. because I was like 2022 and like my Saturn return, it literally encouraged me, challenged me to like be in a position to actually live my life. And like again, like if I really think about it, I still get emotional because like fear had dominated everything. Like the Patrick that was like I feel it's almost like one of those like not even a shell of who I really am because everything was fear. And like there were experiences and opportunities I wouldn't allow myself to have or take. There were ways that I would like just a whole bunch of stuff. But the last quarter of 2022, like it gave me the opportunity to be like, it gave me the opportunity to decide that I no longer want, specifically for me, it gave me the opportunity to decide that I no longer want the fear of my happiness being taken away from me to keep me from being happy. And so for me, of course, it's like, even if this doesn't work out, even if I'm not, even if my fears are true, basically, even if my fears are true, I don't want to miss out on something that I know will make me happy. I don't want to be that person anymore. And so, like, that's why, like, when I realized it, when it all came to me, when I was talking to my journey buddy, like, I was like, this is literally why I started my healing journey. Like after the darkest night, this is everything that I wanted to do. And so in that, like this is a like right now I'm kind of sort of working through it. I'm kind of sort of not. I am like, I mean, honestly, I'm adjusting to being on a different in a different time zone right now. So look, the seagull is back. I mean, I don't know if it's the same one, but where'd you go? There it is. Look, it's looking. Are you the same two seagulls from yesterday? Maybe not. Maybe. Yeah, the last time I was here, I didn't see too many seagulls. The last time I was here, it was like all kinds of birds. And that's when I met, like, I went to Q with Kirsty, and it was like, what? There were not cormorants, like a heron, I think, geese, swans, a few seagulls, like blackbirds, the magpies. I was like, where are my seagulls go? It was like barely any seagulls, all the other birds. Um, so yeah. So where I am now is it's like there's to be quite frank, there's somebody in my life that I don't want to have to depend on. And so when I was saying like I want to give, but I don't want to receive, like there were things that I didn't want to have to receive. Not things that I need, not anything that I would ask for, but just in general, it was like I don't want to have to receive. I just want to be able to give. And for me, of course, in my mind, it's like, okay, well, like, why is this? I personally don't feel like for me, it's a power thing. Like, I'm not the type of person to be like, not always. The only time I might say something is if something isn't like reciprocal. And like reciprocating can come in different forms, right? Like, let's say that I have money and somebody else doesn't have money. So if I get them stuff or if I buy them stuff, them reciprocating isn't necessarily them giving me dollar for dollar what I gave them. You know what I mean? Them reciprocating could be, hey, I'm thinking of you, like what's up? Like, you know what I mean? It can be whatever. It's reciprocation comes in many forms, like we all have different love languages and stuff like that, right? So that's when I might be like, you're like literally you only take from me. You don't give, you don't care. I'm just, you know. Then I might be like, this isn't like fair. But anyway, it didn't, and again, like it didn't really click for me until I came here because I've been in this mental whirlwind of like I don't have anything to do. Did y'all hear that? Just staring at me and making noises. um, because I don't have anything to do, it's almost like I'm going stir crazy because I'm used to like either working a lot. I'm not used to having free time. I'm not used to things not being like weighing on my mind. I'm not used to things not like weighing on my heart. You know what I mean? It's like either there's something that I can do as in terms of work or in terms of school, or there's something that I battle mentally, internally, and now there's like none of that. And so am I creating stuff? Not really, but I'm like trying to break patterns, I guess. Um, and so one of the things that I guess I'm realizing, or one of the things that the end of 2022 taught me, was that in me demanding, if I'm being quite frank and honest, in me demanding certain things from the universe into my experience that I hadn't necessarily received to the degree that I now have and that's like another thing. I feel like this is something that I know, but it doesn't always come across. Like I'll say that I haven't experienced something because I haven't. But at the same time, my capacity was met in the past. Like the capacity that I have now is in no stretch of the imagination the same as the capacity that a previous Patrick would have had. It's incomparable. Um, and so, but like that was also my thing when I was healing, right? It was like feel a capacity and then whatever, and then it's like it would get bigger and bigger and bigger, right? If we're talking about a cup, like my cup would get bigger. I don't know, the tillable, like if there's a field that's like it needs to be tilled and stuff like that, like the tilled part of the field would get bigger. My mind would expand, my creativity would, whatever, as I would do more. It's like capacities would increase. So of course, like something that came into my experience when my capacity was less might not satisfy me. It's almost like how like when I used to go to Qdoba and get burritos, I was like, oh my gosh, these burritos are so thick, I can't finish one. I'm like, I'm half a burrito and I'm so full. Now I'll go to Qdoba and I can eat like a burrito and a half. They just like it doesn't fill me up like it used to. You know what I mean? And so I think that's important to mention because that's something that I don't always explicitly mention as much as like I want something that can like stretch my capacity now. So anyway, in my mind, I'm like I am thinking like I don't want to have to receive in this way. I don't want to have to receive in that way. I don't want to have to like I don't want to have to ask. And again, like there wasn't a specific context or situation that prompted it. It was just maybe it was in the absence of anything else, my internal, like my thoughts just rose. Like it was just me observing things that were bringing things that bubbled to the surface of my awareness, beliefs that I had that weren't necessarily prompted by a situation. And so maybe they didn't come up at any other point. And again, like I didn't piece it together until like literally a few days ago. I'm still piecing it together now. Where it's like, again, it's like I want to give, I want to give, I want to give, I want to give, but I don't want to receive. Like there's no balance in that. I can't have one without the other. There are also like these weird, like, so the reason why I was mentioning the capacity thing, it's because there are some ways that it's honestly one of those like the past is in the past, the present is here and now, the future is coming. And I didn't realize that I was as affected by certain things in the past as I was until the later, like the last third of 2022. And it would like blow my mind because I'm like, I didn't know that like this, like I knew I was hurt, yeah, of course. And because I was hurt, because I had those experiences, now I'm asking for something different. I guess I didn't necessarily know to the extent that it was like molding me, if that makes sense. Very like self preservation, self protection, like I'm not gonna do this again. But like my intuition don't lie. And I know that, but I'm stubborn and difficult sometimes. So I'm me. And so it's like I know that my intuition isn't lying to me, but at the same time, nothing's happening because, as I'm saying, like the internal scale is not balanced for me. Like I can't give and not receive, right? The type of relationship that I'm cultivating within myself and the type of relationship that I'm cultivating with my experience, aka the universe, and the type of relationship that I'm building with the people in my experience, aka my universe. Like that's a dynamic that doesn't, I guess first of all, it's a little like now that I'm talking about it, it's a little like it's very like, so wait, you're telling me that you want to give and not receive anything, but at the same time, you're saying that you have an issue when you give and you don't receive anything. Do you see how what you're asking for is literally the thing that like you very much so don't want? No, I didn't. Now I do. It's like, wow. Wow. Let's we can chalk it up to trauma responses. We can chalk it up to patterns and habits. Like I'm used to being taken advantage of. Like, why isn't someone taking advantage of me? Oh wow. Breakthroughs happening real time. Um, Now that part is new. The part where I was like, I literally just out of my mouth, I was like, the only time I'll bring up how much I give to somebody is when they don't give me anything back. Yet here I literally am subconsciously thinking I want like, yeah, I want to just like give and never receive. And it's like, no, I don't want that. Had that, don't want it. Right here live, only on Real Kirk. Um, wow. So yeah, but that's a realization that I had, and it's like I think impatience. That's something that it's come up before. Impatience was getting the best of me, and in my impatience, excuse me, there was a need to, what was it? I mean, is what Patrick throwing a tantrum? Kinda. I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna make any demands of the universe. I'm not gonna do it. And then there was this like, so this opportunity came up, and like my whole thing was like, so I'm waiting to hear back. Oh my gosh. Looks like they're getting real comfortable down there. You see that one? Real comfortable. Oh. I didn't know if it was gonna like cuddle up to the other one or not. I guess not. Wow. So well, there's the answer to that. It wasn't until like I finally like I was like, fine, I'll just go. And I could feel that like in that decision, like there are things that I'm waiting to hear about at home. Um oh, another thing was like, wait. So it was like I'm seeing all of this like when I first got the message, like, everything, all of the lessons that you'll needed to learn, you've learned. All of the things that you needed to heal, you've healed. You are where you need to be as you need to be. Like, congratulations. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. That's so affirming. Oh, it stood back up. And then, so, I'm getting used to all this free time or whatever. And I'm like, I'm starting to feel like, okay, like I'm ready to go. I'm ready to start. I'm ready to do something. I'm getting excited. Like, let's do something. And nothing is happening. So I'm like, okay, let me sink in. Let me get real quiet. Let me ask the question and get the answer that I want. And it was just like, wait. I'm like, wait. I was like, wait. So then I think somebody posted a reading, and I think Temperance came out, and I was like, ugh. And then the message of like, you're where you need to be came out, and I'm like, ugh, here we go. I'm where I need to be. I've healed. I've done this. I've done that. There's nothing for me to do right now. Okay, well, what am I supposed to do? So I was like, wait. So I was like, okay, I'm waiting. And I know like there are things moving. Um, but because I was waiting for certain things, I didn't want to leave. And so that's why I was going back and forth. I was like, I would love to go and visit. Like London is literally probably my favorite city in the world. Don't know why. But hey David, how you doing? But I remember like the last time I came, I was in the North England, Darlington. I was in Darlington. And I was like, it was fun. Like we went to Lensfarne, Holy we went to Holy Island, we went to York. Um and I was like, it's cool. It's fun. And then we came to London, and it's like as soon as we were coming into the city, my energy just like kicked up. I was like excited. I'm like, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the seagulls. But I love it here. Um, I don't know why I brought that up. Yeah, because I mean, that's why I was conflicted. And I was like, well, what about all this other stuff that I'm waiting for? And so I'm going back and forth within myself. And then, like, so what had happened was my intuition got confirmed. Things that I knew were happening were happening. And in my impatience and in the distortion that I was carrying within myself when I was that like imbalanced dynamic that I was like wanting, it was like that imbalanced dynamic that I was wanting was prompting that imbalanced dynamic response from me. And something within me was like, that's not appropriate for the situation. Like, what are you doing? but I couldn't like shake it. Now I see it's because I was still holding on to that, like, I want to do this, but I don't want to do that. And that's literally what I don't want. But then everything got confirmed, my intuition. I was like, oh, okay. And that's when it kind of like, it didn't even hit me then. But like, I guess it was on the way, on the flight, and all the waiting that I had to do to get here. Oh, one of the seagulls left. And all of the waiting that I had to do to actually get here. Hey, Steph, how you doing? Um, that's when it like actually started to like sink in. I was like, oh. And then some other stuff started to sink in where it's like, it's partially that like it's all been about reciprocity. Um, like there are certain things that, for example, like if I have a friend, I I'm not the maybe not self-deprecating humor. Not self-deprecating humor I can like tolerate, question mark. Not more than like I can appreciate self-deprecating humor, but like self-deprecation in general from like people that I care about and consider my people that I care about, I don't like. Because I'm like, how dare you talk about somebody that I care about like that, even though you are somebody that I care about. I am in London right now. See, Canary Wharf is somewhere back there. Yep, I'm in London. um, and so it was like, that's one of the things that I don't like. Um, and then like, there was something that I said one day that was kind of like self-deprecating, not in a huge way, but I just said it like sort of flippantly, and it did like it just came to me, to my mind, to my awareness, where I was like, oh, so maybe it's a period of like refining. It's a period of like honing in on these things, and also it's like I feel like I've also reached this point where there are things in others that I'm starting to notice. Like, so the friend that I'm staying with, I've known him for 7 years now, 6.5 years. We met, well, I guess we met April 2015, but we worked together um, like August 2016. And like we were pretty quick friends. And like there are things that I noticed about him yesterday that in all of these years of knowing him, I've never noticed. I'm like, oh, I don't know if it's like, and I guess what's, I don't know, it's just, it's, like there are just certain things that I'm noticing. I'm noticing a lot of things, I guess I'll just say. Some of them I don't necessarily like. And a lot of the things that I don't necessarily like is, of course, like anything that I put a chili pepper on, you can probably assume why I wouldn't like it. Like, I don't like for my feelings and experiences to be dismissed, and I don't like when other people's are dismissed either. But I was watching, it was like, I didn't even watch the full video, but it was a clip of someone that was talking about a humanitarian issue, we'll say. And they were like, oh, well, like we don't even contribute to this. They were like, well, our contributions to the problem are minimal. And there are all of these people in like, it's like there are all of these people in disadvantageous states or stages that'll be contributing to the problem that aren't going to care about any of the like repercussions or whatever. And it's just like, and then it's it causes my brain to short circuit and almost malfunction due to the depths of how much I don't understand it. I mean, I guess I like from a it's one of those things that I don't understand, but I've come to accept about humans. One of them being where it's like, if there's a stance or a position or a point that you have that you supposedly genuinely believe in, it's like, why lie or fabricate evidence to support that claim? It's almost like, shouldn't it have enough merit on its own to stand? It's like people who would intentionally lie to make their position seem stronger. Again, like I get it because we're people. That's what people do. But at the same time, it's like why? And it was just like, it was so, to me in that moment, it was just so nasty that somebody would use the the state that someone else is like, the condition that someone else is living in, that they would use their condition to as like a talking point to justify not doing something, while at the same time it's like they'll pull on your pathos. It's pathos, right? Yeah, sympathy, empathy. They'll use pathos. They'll use your emotional connection to people to try to make an argument while at the same time not doing anything to help those people. Like not doing anything to benefit those people. So it's like those people literally exist only as a talking point to pull sympathy, to get us to go away from this other thing. But that sympathy doesn't extend to like actually doing anything. And then it was like, it's like, I know that life is a lot and we all have a million and one things going on, but like we're complex. We have big brains. We can handle many things at one time. A lot of issues aren't one or the other. And it was so obviously like, well, if we come up with the solution, they'll have the solution. Like the whole argument is like, they'll be contributing to the problem. Like we're not that much of a contributor. They're a much bigger contributor, even though right now they're not because of limited access. But it's like, oh, they're going to be a bigger contributor than we are. So why should we do anything? And it's like, okay, but if you have a solution and if you give them the solution while they're still getting access, it's like they'll have the updated version. You know what I mean? It's like you can give them the updated version of the thing and literally all of the problems are solved, rather than trying to, it's like using one problem to justify another problem and then nothing gets solved. It's like that, it doesn't make sense. Anyway, I don't know, it was a lot and I was just like, this is nasty, I don't like it. But anyway, that's not why. I don't know why I'm here. I've been, as I am on the path to my future, as we all are. We're always going towards the future. And as I've been personally thinking about the impacts that I want to make slash where I want to focus my attention and effort, like you were supposed to go to Italy in September. 4 layovers. What? Yeah, it's not. I mean, if you can if you can fit in the seat, it might be more comfortable. I feel like I was this awkward height where it's like my head, like the headrest didn't completely like fit my head, so I couldn't really like do anything. I was like, it's not pleasant, but luckily it wasn't that long. I mean, it was like an 8 hour flight, but it wasn't that full. So I was able to get fairly comfortable. But yeah, it's just like it's very much how like I don't know. It's fine. That's where I've been though. So, but here I am. I am on vacation and I will enjoy it, darn it. How did that wood get up here? It looks like they're like little logs. How did those get up here? I will say though, for the first time, I we were like walking back from we were so I went to Nando's. There's a Nando's in I think Jubilee Place or yeah, and I went there the first time I came here. I every time I've come to London, I like the closest station is Canary Wharf, so I go to and from Canary Wharf like all the time. To the point where I don't even really need Google Maps anymore. I just know where to go. Um, we went to Nando's Monday evening, and I didn't realize that like the Jubilee place was like connected to Canary Wharf. Like it's all in the like in the same place. And then it's like this big old mall. And then we came back through Canada Place. And I'm like, what? This is like it's bigger than I thought it was. Bigger on the inside. Um but yeah, I don't it's just I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that we'll reach the point where we can because I saw something else too. Where it's like people will like use disenfranchised people or people who are not in a good way literally as talking points and as arguing points to not do something, but then not do anything to actually help those people. And it's just like this fake pretend sympathy or empathy for somebody that like they don't really care about. I don't know. It was wild to me. But anyway, I've been considering my next step, and I've said it before. Um, for me, there have been a few things that have always piqued my interest. There are things that I want to do professionally that I don't have the professional background to do. And so my goal is to acquire said professional background so that I can then go out and make impacts that way. Um, it's part of that thread. Like it feels like they branch off of that thread, but it feels like it's part of that thread at the same time. So um, I guess more than I'm glad to have the opportunities to work through a lot of this stuff or to recognize and catch and correct a lot of these beliefs and patterns that I'm still holding on to before I fully enter the next phase. And again, like I knew that this in between time was important. I just feel it. Um, I knew that it would set me up for the next thing. I didn't necessarily count on it being so almost like free range. It's almost like a self study, I feel like. But at the same time, it's like I'm just supposed to enjoy it, especially after the year I had. I'm supposed to be grateful that I can enjoy it, grateful that I have the resources to be able to be here and then actually enjoy it. So that was one thing that thankfully I'll be able to do now, um, rather than continue to wait. And there are things that I have things that are in place that will help me wait comfortably. Like I'm still accessible and reachable. I didn't have to get a different number or anything. I'm like, well, what if someone calls and they're like, hey, can we interview? Like everyone's doing everything online now anyway. I can interview. I brought my laptop if I need it. Like if I have to wake up at 3, 4, 5 in the morning, that's fine. Especially while I'm not fully adjusted because I wake up at 3, 4, 5 in the morning anyway. Um, Also, lately, I feel like my body has been. I haven't been sleeping as much. I've been sleeping like it would be like before a lunar eclipse or between like the lunar and the solar eclipse. Like my sleep will just be broken. Like literally on the dot, waking up every 3 hours. And then it would be like every 2 hours. And so I've been waking up a lot. If I just get up, I'm not really tired. So I don't need as much sleep. But it'll be the middle of the night. And I'm like, well, what am I going to do? So I might as well go back to sleep. Then I can't sleep. Um, I feel like dreams have been interesting, as they always are. I don't know. It'll be a interesting time for sure. So I am here until February 13. So it'll be like 3 weeks, which is it's really nice. And yeah, like after I was like, yeah, I'll come visit. My friend was like, oh, I'll be going to Italy, and we can maybe go to this other place. And I was like, wow, like the vacation keeps getting better and better. Yeah. So I don't know. So I guess that's pretty much it. I would ask if anyone has any questions. I mean, if I went live on my laptop, then I could have at least 1 second. I'm gonna see where my battery is. I'm at 38%. Um, I have a app on my phone where I can like get cards, but I didn't bring any. Not that I necessarily feel particularly guided to use them. Like I said, I feel like everything I needed to say, I've said. I don't know if it's this like, as I'm being guided to live my life, I'm being guided to, as if there is a choice at this point. I don't know. It's just like intuition, like follow your own guidance, intuition. And ultimately, like we always get where we're going. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. I do my best not to. Most of the time, I don't worry. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I'm like, man. One thing I've noticed about myself, I've been noticing this about myself for a while, but I'm noticing things about me too. Where it's like I feel like I have such this huge. It's not a huge polarity. I mean, that could just be the Pisces in me, honestly, because Pisces is mutable. There's the two fish, but also like I'm a Taurus moon and rising, and my grandma's a Taurus. I think it was because I was spending more time with my grandma that I started to like see it. And then I started to see it in me. And it's not anything like super bad. It's just like sometimes I think I'll be a little like matter of fact, or I'll be a little like just sort of like straightforward or a little like cut and dry. And then and like I don't obviously like I don't mean anything by it. It's like or if somebody like asks a question, I'll just answer it. Like if I'm not really thinking, I'll just like answer it. Sometimes it might be a little cold. Sometimes I'm like super in that Pisces, whatever, like, yeah, like super empathetic and like, oh my gosh, like I hear you. I'm empathizing with you. I care. Sometimes I'm just like, oh yeah, no. And then I'm like, oh, that was It's my Sagittarius North Node. I love blaming things on astrology, don't you? I'm kidding. But yeah, so I think I told y'all that my word for 2023 is expedition, and I chose the word expedition because it's an adventure and it's quick, like a safari expedition or a you know whatever, but also like expedited shipping expedition. And so I guess because I told my journey buddy that I would be coming, um, and she's like, "Look at you living out your word." When I first did it, it didn't really feel like it, but I think that's also maybe this. It's another reason why, like, oh, thanks, Steph. Oh my gosh, Eve, I think this is a sign that you're supposed to give me your car. I'm kidding. Um, what was I about to say? I forget. I forgot. Uh, my word is expedition. I didn't. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. This is I guess as Saturn is exiting Aquarius. I mean, it's gonna retrograde back into Aquarius, but it's not gonna conjunct me exactly. So I think I'll be all right. It's almost like a parting gift or a parting lesson from Saturn is to learn to live. Uh, and like I've said, like I used to be. You need to downgrade to an explorer. I think we actually have. No, we don't have an explorer. I feel like we might have had one at some point. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe I'm making stuff up. Um, you won't like it. I guess it's so. I don't know. Cause like I was offered something that I want, and then I was like, oh, but I don't want to have to. I get annoyed at myself sometimes. Because I was offered something that really touched me, really, truly, genuinely touched me. And it was very like, this is what I wanted, this is what I asked for. But then I was like, oh, but I don't want to receive it. Oof. I was gonna say, I feel like if something happens in my life and I get a lot of bad karma, I feel like like just how I am with spirit, maybe, I don't know. It's like my karma would be for after this incarnation for me to be my own spirit guide. Because I'm like, I do roll my eyes at myself like all the time. Sometimes I'm just like, why am I like this? Because I literally was offered something that moved me. And I was like, this is exactly what I want. And then 2 seconds later, I'm like, I don't want to receive it. I bet the universe is like, see, this is why you don't have anything. This is why. I mean, it's not that I don't have anything, but it's like you say you want it, but then when we offer it to you, you don't take it. Like, what are you doing? That's literally, yeah. This is my parting lesson from Saturn. Not even a gift, a parting lesson from Saturn, because that is literally like so much of my experience. More so in the past, like years ago, before my darkest night, was like me manifesting, attracting, working towards certain opportunities, and then refusing them when I was offered them. Like even the ones I had to work for, I would refuse it. I'm like, oof, okay, well. No, here we are. Yeah, well, let's leave that in the past, shall we? So it's been a very enlightening few months. Excuse me. Ooh. Yeah, I'm like, but I've gotten a lot better at saying yes. And going, I mean, obviously, right? So yeah, I guess I just look forward to seeing where life takes me next. Ooh, now I'm like, oof, I'm starting to I'm starting to think of some of the stuff that I was asking for. And now I'm like, oof, man. Well, I was guided to ask for the things. That's what I was. I think I was talking to my. I can't remember if I was live and I talked about it. I think I was talking to my journey buddy because I was gonna say like I feel like I've asked questions to get certain answers, but I also feel like I'm assuming that y'all know what I'm talking about when I say the universe. I kind of use God, spirit, the universe. In some ways they're interchangeable, in some ways they're not. Um, in some ways it's there's the creator and the creation, right? But it's almost like in some ways the creation itself has taken on aspects of the creator, or it's just the way in which it was designed. Um, but anyway, I feel like spirit has led me to ask certain questions to get certain answers to get where I'm going. And I know because I finished Morpheus, by the way. Um, the cats, oh my gosh. I feel like it was so random in the episode, but it happened. Maybe it speaks to the power of dream. Um, there was the ladies in Morpheus who were like, you didn't ask the right question. They're like, oh, if only you had asked the right question, then we could have given you the answer to help you avoid this fate. And that's something like asking the right question has come up a few times. It's not anything necessarily new. And it makes me think of when I used the Magic the Gathering cards, and there was the Futurist Sentinel, and it was like something in the future is coming back to influence the present in a way to ensure that that future becomes our experience, or to ensure that that future exists. It's almost like uh, Back to the Future. It was in the first one, right, where he went back and he like screwed things up between his parents, so he almost didn't exist, but then he made it right, so he did exist, but changed everything else. And some other, it's like that, like, or not the Terminator, because I feel like that's the opposite. But I don't know. It's weird, timey wimey, gobbledygook space stuff. So, excuse me. I guess that's it. Was there anything else? Let me see. I'll be right back. I gotta go to the restroom. So give me a second. I'm gonna find a book or something. I would set this up so y'all can see. Enjoy the chandelier. I'll take this. So if you can hear me, someone give me a number between, I'm assuming one. Oh, wait, maybe not. No, give me a number between 15 and 340. Someone give me a number between 15 and 340. I found a book. 16. Thank you. Left 37 years ago. You've been leaning out the window, smoking, talking about regress to 15 again. No! No. Oh, is that the giant thorny portal thing? But you're not 15 anymore. I'm just playing. That's how I felt when I went back home, though. When I was like, after school, I did not plan on staying home. I did not plan on staying home. And then it was like, well, I got a job at home. And I was like, this isn't what I wanted. But to be fair, there were things about home that changed in ways that I obviously don't like. And then I discovered later that it had changed in other ways that I do. Like we have a metaphysical store now, so we'll do this. This says, I've taken course after course on effective management training. I expect a lot out of, this is page 16. This is the 7 habits of highly effective people. I've taken course after course on effective management training. I expect a lot out of my employees, and I work hard to be friendly toward them and to treat them right. But I don't feel any loyalty from them. I think if I were homesick for a day, they'd spend most of their time gabbing at the water fountain. Why can't I train them to be independent and responsible or find employees who can be? Oh. $210. I think this is a so I know of a divorce in which the husband was directed by the judge to sell the assets and turn over half the proceeds to his ex-wife. In compliance, he sold a car worth over $10,000 for $50 and gave $25 to the wife. When the wife protested, the court clerk checked on the situation and discovered that the husband was proceeding in the same manner systematically through all of the assets. Oof, maybe this ain't the book. We'll put it all together. We'll see. And then 333. Oh, is 333 a page? Is there anything on here? Yeah, there should be, right? I looked at it, right? Are we in the appendix? Hold up. No. 1 second. I saw a page. What did I say? I guess there isn't a 333. I could count them. Oh, wait. Yep, here we go. Found it. 333. Must be this page. So these are exercises in the back of the book. Oh, that is a strong ring. Oh, they're hurting my ear. Okay. Your in basket is overflowing into your out basket. Number 3. Number 4, you need to talk to the sales manager about last month's sales. His office is down the hall. 4 hours. So the sales manager connects us back to the first one. So the first one, it was, I think it was something about expectation. And maybe that goes back to, because my question or my thought with reading that, I'm not necessarily a boss or a manager or a supervisor. At least right now, I'm not a anything but a me, which is awesome. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, who says that an employee isn't loyal because they'll be chatting out the water cooler if you have a sick day? I think it speaks to culture at large, in which this is another thing that's been, it's funny because it was a theme, it's something that I saw a few times. I saw this video on the internet about a graphic designer, I'm assuming, and he was like, he was holding a conference with some people, and he was like, if I charge you X amount of money to do a job, then like, what do you think? And so someone was like, oh, well, like, why should I have to pay that when someone else can do it either in the same time for half of the price, or they can do it for the same price in half of the time? And he was like, okay, so are you saying that you value time? And he was like, yeah. And so it was like, so I can come in and I can do a job in 2 seconds, but it's not going to be any good. And he was like, well, that's no good. And he's like, okay, so are you saying that you value performance? And he was like, yeah. And it worked around to this thing where it's like, people who are really good at oh, look, the blackbird is back. I mean, it's probably a different one, but the seagulls have left. We are ending this where we started it. Where'd you go? There you go. um, so it was just like, people who invest, it's almost like people who become masters of their craft become punished when they're good at it. Because if they're really, and it depends on what it is, but he was like, if I can give you a logo in 5 minutes that you are happy with, that you're pleased with, in 5 minutes, like, I should still be compensated for the thing. And it's this like, oh, well, it only took you 5 minutes to do that. I'm not going to pay you whatever. And then I started watching after I saw that, I watched this new anime. And there's this, like, some lady was locked out of her house. And so the handyman came and he let her in. And he was like, all right, that'll be $75. And she was like, $75 for something that it took you 2 seconds to do? Like, that's ridiculous. But it's like, not only is he providing the service, but it's like the reason why he was able to get it done so quick. It was just that, like, how people get punished for being good at what they do. Because on the other side, it's like, oh, well, like, that amount of money shouldn't be, like, it shouldn't be worth that much because of the amount of time that it took. But it's not about the time that it takes, it's about the end goal, it's about the end product. And that's what page 16 makes me think of, because it's like, well, if your employees are rock stars and if they're getting the work done, why does it matter if they're having a good time at the water cooler when you're not there? Like, it would be different if it was like, why is it that, like if I'm here, then nobody's like, then nothing's getting done. And it makes me think of the whole, like, work from home conversation that's been happening, and how for some people they're more productive when they work from home. And it's like, it's one of those things where, let's say that times are changing, let's say that circumstance has illustrated to us and has proven that some of the ways in which we operate, we don't have to operate anymore. Just because it's the way that we used to do things doesn't mean that we have to continue to do it that way, especially if we can be more productive. If we can be more productive and more happy, what's it matter? You know what I mean? And so I guess it's just, and honestly, it makes me think of like going back to reciprocity, to what I was saying about how like it's not always like when it's not always like for like, how you can reciprocate like time for whatever, and like different love languages, different ways that we show up for each other. And if we expand that out, it's just like different things that people do in general. Excuse me, it's how like if people go to Starbucks, and or if people go out to eat and the wait staff is there, and let's say it's a country where wait staff don't really get paid, so they rely on tips, cough cough America. It's like the reason why we tip is because they don't, for the, it's like where it's like really, I don't want to say like where it really matters, but kind of sort of where it really matters. Like they get paid less than minimum wage. With the way that the system is set up, they rely on tips basically to compensate for the fact that they don't get paid the same wage that everyone else gets. And so then it's really easy for people to be like, oh, well, like if you want a stable whatever, you should get a better job. But then when no one's working, there's issues. There's complaints like, where's my waiter? Where's my server? Where's my this person? They went to go get the thing that you told them to get because you didn't respect them when they were there. It's this same like, it's these things that like if we're talking about Saturn, we're not talking about Saturn, but recently it was probably Capricorn. It was probably the Capricorn reading where I was like, this makes good Capricorn sense. Like good Capricorn sense is not like, it's like how can we depend on someone for a service, but at the same time not want to compensate them for that, or at the same time make them less than because of where they are? You know what I mean? And then when they're not there, it's an issue because you can't get whatever. So it just, it makes me think of that whole thing where it's like maybe it's an opportunity to dig deeper into some of these systems or whatever, a little hierophant energy, you know. You make 235 an hour. Whoop whoop. And so the second one makes me think of that like, what is like cutting off your nose to spite your face? It also makes me think of something that I saw recently, um on like yesterday, where it was like there was a father who wasn't with his baby mama, and his baby mama had a new boyfriend. And he was like, I'm not going to take care of my kids because she has a new boyfriend. And then the other person was like, but your kids are still your kids. Like, you being in your children's life should have no bearing on what their mother is doing. It's like, so in order to spite the ex-wife, it's this like, haha, she only got $25 out of this $10,000 car that I had to sell. It's like, yeah, okay, but you only got $25. You're cheating yourself in order to spite somebody else. Like it doesn't. Oh, $2.35. So you depended on the tips. Gotcha. I was like 235 an hour, like that's tips included, right? Working at the fancy place. So, but yeah, like, and that's the reason why people tip. And somebody was like, well, doctors don't get tips and these people don't get tips. And it's like, yeah, because they don't need them. Like they're not structured in that way. If I'm the type of person, I wasn't, well, I guess I can say I was raised, but it's like the tip is part of the meal. You know, like if you want to be extra generous with your tip, like you can do that. You know what I mean? But it's like the tip is part of the meal. So it's not like in other countries, I know they'll have it where like the price listed in the grocery store is the total price. Like it includes tax and everything. In America, in a lot of places, it don't work like that. So if it says like 99 cents, when then you take it up to the register and they're like, okay, that'll be $1.05, it's because the listed price doesn't include tax. You can't go in the store and be like, I don't have tax, so I'm just not going to pay it. And they go, okay, well, just take it for 99 cents. It's like, no, if you can't, like, the tip is part of the bill. Anyway, back to the second one. It's like how we do all of these things to spite other people, not cognizant of the fact that we're also spiting ourselves at the same time. It's like being petty for why. And then it's almost like how we can sometimes brag about all of these things, maybe, or we think we're being doing whatever, and it's like, well, that's not the case, you know? And so maybe it's more so, it's just like, I almost want to say like accepting certain things or not making things, it's not making things worse. What is it? Like it feels energetic. It's almost like not this is what it meant. This okay, so this is another thing. It was a big lesson for me. It makes me think of this. That's why I meant to talk about it earlier. I forgot. It's the petty part of Patrick. So in 2020, another thing that a thing that I realized, I think it was towards the end of 2020, is that whenever I get like mad or whenever I get upset, I'm really, really good at manifesting things. Late 2021/2022, Patrick, in a conversation with his journey buddy, also just like realizing it's like because those are the only times where I'm not like wishy-washy or I'm not torn in between two things. If I'm mad or if I'm upset, that is 100% of my focus going towards one thing, and so it makes it easier to come to me because it's not a torn energy. If I'm not mad, then it's like, well, I could do this or I could do that, or like, I kind of want this but not really. It's just like a stronger energy when I'm mad. That's when the Taurus horns come out and the bull starts to charge, and it's like manifest it. And I say that because in early 2020, it was like April, I blew up on my mom one day, of course, because as a lot of people probably experience. And I was like, oh, like I can't wait to like get a job and get out of here. I can't wait till I don't have to live here anymore. And then like I got this amazing opportunity. I'm like, oh my gosh, what? And then I look at it, I procrastinated, of course, and I had missed the deadline for the opportunity. So but there were other times where it's like I'll be mad and I manifested something, but then it's like it's come up in different readings that I've done, and it's like the energy that we put into getting something is the energy that it's going to have when we receive it. Right. So I don't want to be like anger manifesting things or upset manifesting things because it's like it's not. So, like, for example, like I mentioned it earlier, like I've been fortunate enough in the past year that I worked to be able to help people and to give back where I can and to the people that I care. Whenever I feel called to, guided to, whenever I can, I do. And when I started working, that's one of the things that I wanted to be able to do rather than just like, I want a job that's going to pay me enough to move out so I don't have to deal with this. And so it makes me think of that, like when we do stuff to spite other people, but then we in turn spite ourselves. It's like for some reason it makes me think of that because like if everything is vibration or if everything is energy and frequency, then it would follow that like if that's the frequency that we're in when we call it to us, that's the frequency it's going to have when we get it. Right. It's like going to get stale, day old bread, expecting it to be fresh. It's not exactly the same, but you get it. Um,
And so for me, it was like maybe I calmed down. We'll be real frank and honest. I calmed down, and I was like, "Ooh, like I don't want to," because it wasn't true. Was I upset? Was I frustrated? Yes. Would it have been easier to not have to deal with whatever I was in with at the time? Yes. But also at the same time, I had this narrative in my head that no matter what I did, it would never be good enough for my mom. And I said that when we blew up, and of course she was upset. And we talked about it one day, and I realized that it wasn't true. And then I realized that it was never my mom that made me feel that for Patrick in particular, because I know some people got parents where it's not the case. But for me, it wasn't my mom, it was me. Like I was the person that like no matter what I did, it was never good enough. I was the person that couldn't it was like I was really good at extending sympathy to other people, or I was really good at extending understanding to other people and being like, oh, well, they're going through this or they're experiencing that. And like, these are all of the reasons why they were a little snippy today. But I know that they're not like that. They're just having a rough day, for example. But for me, it's like I would never take into consideration any of the things that I had experienced. My whole internal dialogue was like, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, I'm not where I should be. Like, I should be further, I should be blah, 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 blah. But in no part of that conversation was it like, well, I'm literally doing my best. I'm here, okay? And that's a lot. Like, none of that was ever a part of it. And like when it finally came to me, I of course I cried because I had that realization after I had enough self love for it to like matter. If that makes any sense, it's almost like if I would have had that realization any sooner, it wouldn't have really done anything but fuel that voice inside of my head that put me in those situations in the first place. It was only when I had the capacity to like love and care for myself that I was like, oh wow, like I've been doing this to me the whole time. It's not somebody else. So, not to say that that deflection is a part of it, but something in that is just like, again, it's like, it's when we think that we're doing these like big brain, like, ha, like she only got $25. But at the same time, we're in the exact same position. It was so out of the $5,000 that we could have gotten, we get $25, but we see that as a win because she only got $25. And so then it's, I mean, it can lead to this weird competition thing. Sure, it doesn't necessarily have to, but it can. I don't even remember what the third one was. The third one was something about a manager. I think the third one was more so like it was a list of things. So it was like all of these realizations. So I mean, I feel like it's basically everything I've already done. For the page 16, it was like, okay, well, like, what is the actual priority? That's a conversation that I've had with myself too. It made like there was a friend that I had who was going through a patch in their relationship, and they asked me a question, and I was like, well, does it matter? And they were like, no. So I'm like, okay, well, like, it doesn't matter. Like their partner, like, and early in their relationship, their partner had lied about something um, that wasn't a deal breaker. And it's like who that person was in the relationship was like everything was perfect, everything was fine. But then it came out that there was a lie in the beginning, and I was like, well, is it a deal breaker? No. Would it have changed your decision at that point in time? No. It's like, okay, like if everything is fine, and if you still would have come down this path anyway, maybe in this exact scenario and situation, we can extend a little bit of sympathy and a little bit of empathy for why that lie may have been told, because they didn't want you to view them in a certain way. And you found out that they're not that person. So like, while on one hand it's like no, like they shouldn't have lied, on the other hand it's like it was understandable. And it like, if is it something that you can forgive and get over? Does it matter? How much does it matter compared to like who, like where y'all are right now and where y'all are going? How much does that matter? It's about context. Um, so it's like, does it matter if your employees? I mean, this ain't necessarily like I said, I ain't nobody boss. To me, I feel like it wouldn't matter. But it's like, does it matter if your employees slack off for an hour if they get their work done? Is that a question of their loyalty to you that, and like we have all of these studies about productivity, about how like if people are happy in their work environments, they're more productive. If people have like breaks or whatever, they're more productive. If people can take their mind away from something and then come back to it with fresh eyes, they're more productive. Like all of the studies are there, but we're so, it's like this, oh, like work, 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 like, even if you don't have anything to do, I'm gonna find something for you to do that just makes everything sort of suffer. It's like, why? Prioritize what actually matters. And then in the second one, again, it's just a question of, if we take everything out of it, it's just like, are we going to allow the past, or are we going to allow certain events that happen in our lives to dictate our futures in a way? Where it's like, are we going to spite our futures because of something that happened in the past? Well, that's the question that we have. Like sometimes it's worth it. Sometimes the answer is yes. I will be the last person to tell you to always do whatever. I will be the first person that says, well, it depends on the situation. It depends on how you feel and what you want. And then after you know how you feel and what you want, then you can extend that to like the other person, what they want, the other party and what they want. Like, be it a boss, be it a job, be it whatever. Um, I don't know. We'll see. Who knows? So, oh, let me pick a page. I'll pick a page. Let me put my glasses back on. And then I'll end this because it's been like 2 hours. Thank you all for being here. Right here. That's why it's so important whenever you come into a new situation to get all the expectations out on the table. People will begin to judge each other through those expectations. And if they feel like their basic expectations have been violated, the reserve of trust is diminished. We create many negative situations by simply assuming that our expectations are self evident and that they are clearly understood and shared by other people. So there you go. To perfectly wrap this all up, talk to people. If you're the boss and they're your employees, be like, hey, this is my expectation. If they're meeting if they're meeting your expectation, what does it matter? And on the other one, I guess the wife was like, I'm not getting what I should be getting from this. And it's like, well, talk to the judge, make sure like sell it at value. Like that's the whole point of splitting assets, is so it's like at value. It's not so, well, I gave everything away for free, so there's nothing to give her. Ha 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 ha. She loses. And again, I feel like if someone is that, like, it's not about whether it's justified or not. I think that's another thing too. It's like, it's a question of where we want to be when it comes to whether or not something is justified, because it could be completely justified for sure. Like, oh, like if the wife was like terrible and horrible and this and that, is it justified? Of course, but is it still worth like missing out or losing out on what's for you. You know what I mean? And it's all conversations and decisions that we have to make and within ourselves. So I don't know. That's the best I can do with no cards. I feel like if if it resonate, take it. If it don't resonate, don't. But at the same time, in general, it's just like your life is your life. Your future is your future. You make choices and decisions to go forward. Other people make choices and decisions to go forward. And like the passage said, it's not always intentionally malicious. I think I'm definitely guilty, more so in the past, but probably still in some ways for sure. I think we just hold all of these assumptions about people, or we assume. I think in a lot of ways, one thing that I've is definitely true. One thing that has been a theme too is that like we expect certain truths to be universal. We expect for everybody to be in a certain way. We expect for everyone to like process things the way that we process things. And when someone behaves in a way that would suggest to us that they don't, we get mad, we get upset, and rightfully so. We are valid in all of our feelings. But again, it's like if the same isn't true for the other person, then it's like it's not intentionally malicious. It can be an opportunity for us to recognize, acknowledge certain triggers, and to get over it. And if it is intentionally malicious, like if like it's different if you tell someone like, "Hey, this upsets me," and then they do it because they know that it upsets you, like they're trying to upset you. That's different than someone who like doesn't even know and they do something and then you fly off the handle and it's like, whoa, what are you doing? And it's like, oh, sorry, I didn't know. Like, but now that I know, like, I won't do it again. Like, when someone cares about you, they won't do it. And you can give them the opportunity tonight, or you can recognize when they intentionally do things to upset you. But again, I guess that's when it gets a little tricky. But the easiest, oh my gosh, look. So this whole time, I look at the traffic out here. Where is it? Usually, like this lane, where's my finger? This lane on the left will have a lot more people than on the right. But now it's the reverse. So, anyway, there you go. Striking through January and Feb, he has not told me. He has not told me. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, because I was here when I was here last time. I think I left on a Sunday, and there was an announcement on the thing where it was like they were gonna strike on Monday or something like that. So I have to look into it. Thanks for the heads up. It was nice to see y'all too. I know I've been away, but I don't know. Like there are things that I can say, but again, it doesn't feel like I don't know. A big tree branch just fell. Oh my gosh. Is everything okay? It didn't like fall on anything, did it? I want to go up to the. So is the Billingsgate Market actually open? It looks like it might be. Every time I've come, it's been closed or like under construction or something, I'm pretty sure. I mean, not that I like fish, so or seafood, so it doesn't really matter. I was look the seagull. Um my friend asked me if I like fish, and I was like, no. And he was like, you don't like anything. Nah, nah, nah. Why don't you like fish? And I was like, because fish makes me sad. My mom said that I stopped liking fish after we got a pet fish. And I didn't believe her for a long time until I ate fish a few months ago. And I literally had a bite of the fish and I got sad. So maybe that's some unconscious programming for me to work through. Maybe not, because I can live without eating fish. So, but yeah, it really did surprise me though. I didn't expect to be sad. So, exactly, that's what I said. Shrimp, on the other hand, shrimper. I can get down on some shrimp. Well, like popcorn shrimp, the little shrimps. I don't like all shrimp. So anyway, thank you all for being here. This was whatever this was. Take anything as it resonates, if it resonates, as it resonates. A lot of this was mostly just me talking about where I am and where I've been and how I don't know, I started my journey to heal so I can live my life and it not be dictated by fear. And now that I'm in this space of not having my life dictated by fear, I'm like, oof, choice, opportunity, options. What do I do? And I'm not saying it was better when I had something to heal or do, or it was better when I was overworked, but I'm learning to live now. And again, it's interesting how there were certain things that I couldn't see before. Um, it's like if I would, I mean, before my darkest night, if I would try to like think out into the future, it was like nothing. It was black. And there are some things that I can visualize that I can see now that even like before September, I wasn't able to see. Um, and it's like as I've maybe again, it's more the Aksunare. It's how when there's light in the space where there was always a dark night. Now that the fear is gone, I can actually look in there, and it's like, oh, it's actually not that bad. So we'll see. We'll see. I did want to say something, I guess, to let y'all know, because this is partially also me just like talking about my journey, um, and sharing the different parts and pieces and phases as I'm in them. Because I'm the type of person like, although my brain was like super susceptible to fear, interestingly enough, like I don't hold on to pain well, where it's like if something was challenging or difficult, it's hard sometimes for me to accurately recall how hard it was. It's like if I go to the doctor, if I've been experiencing a pain and then I go to the doctor because of said pain, if I'm not currently experiencing that pain, I don't I don't it's not super easy for me to be like, "Oh yeah, like this is what was wrong with me and it was hurting at about, a 7 or an 8 out of 10." I'm just like, "Well, I'm okay right now." So, yeah, but I mean, I love that you love fish. Someone has to love fish, right? I love fish in a different way. I love fish in the ocean, and you love fish in your belly. I'm just kidding. That's like, I don't like swimming with fish has to be like, I don't know if I can do it. I haven't necessarily been presented the opportunity yet. I'm sure it's gonna come at some point in my life. But it's just like it's so weird to me to like go into a fish's house and just like be there. You know what I mean? Especially if there's like a pool with no fish. Like, why do I gotta go in somebody else's yard? And then it's like, I don't know. It's just like it's weird. But that's also how my brain works. Like, if I'm not good at expectation either. I'm not good at expectation in the way of experiences that I haven't had. Expectations of people, yeah, sure. I can expect people to be kind and decent. Um, but as far as like, I think that's also why like it blows my mind and I can't even like fathom it or imagine it because it's just like I don't like what would that even be? Like there's a fish just minding its business, a whole bunch of fish just minding their business, and then someone's like, "Oh, let's go out into the ocean and do whatever." I don't know. Cause then it's I don't know, it's just like they're there, you know? You know what I mean? They're just like there. If you get in the pool there and they're not there, it's like, do they do anything, or are they just like, oh, if you mind your business, I'll mind my business? I don't know. It's almost like, I don't know. For me, it's like, but I've been to zoos before, but a zoo is different. And a zoo, they tell you not to get in the enclosure. You know what I mean? I haven't been on a safari yet, but this living expeditiously, 2023 might be the year I do a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, it's already the year where I do. Um, I'll be going to India at some point, so I'm not going to be going to Montreal. I don't think I talked about it on here because I waited too late to book, basically. And the whole irony of it all is that I was only going to go to Montreal for a weekend. And like I was going to visit my friend and his fiance in Montreal. Um, my friend lives here, she lives in Montreal. And he was like, it doesn't make sense to spend all that money to go for like 2 days because I waited. Because I was like, that like my whole thing has been like the future is like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I'll be working. I don't know if I'll be doing this. I don't know where I'm going to be. So I don't want to make any plans right now. And that was another thing. It was like, I think I got frustrated. Another thing that I've realized is there have been certain things that have frustrated me a lot. I realized that I was making choices and decisions to that were leading me to be frustrated. And it was more so the waiting. And that's why like the waiting and the impatience, like it got me. And I was like, you know what? I didn't want to make any demands of the universe, but you know, hello. And then the universe was like, yeah, hello, you're not doing anything. You're saying you want to do this and you want to do that, but why aren't you doing it, Mister? Oh, I want my life to be more about action. I'm tired of just waiting for things to happen to me. See, this is why I feel like I get baited by the universe to ask for things. And then when I have to do whatever, it's like, oh, it's like, well, you said you wanted to be the one to initiate stuff, right? So what are you initiating? Why are you just waiting? And I'm like, oh, well, that's fair. And like, there are things that are for me to do, and then I wait and I let them be done. So I procrastinated and I frustrated. What's waiting frustrated? Frustrated. And then it's like I didn't have to. So anyway, he was like, you could come to the UK for a little bit more and be here for longer. So I was like, oh, I'll do that. And now I'm here for 3 weeks when I didn't even want to go there for a few days because I didn't know if I would be working or whatever. So I'm learning, living and learning. Learning through life is where I am. And again, it's exactly what I wanted. It's exactly what I asked for. I'm glad to be in a position where I can do it. So, welcome back. I don't think so. I think Canada eased their restrictions a minute ago, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't think you do, but again, I'm not sure. Sandra might know, or Rain. Is that it? Excuse me. I guess that's pretty much it. Those are the big things. So while I'm here, what time is it? I'm supposed to be looking at stuff I want to do. Thank you again for telling me about the strikes because if we have to use the train, then that might interfere with certain things. So I will be aware of that, cognizant of that. I will keep that cognizance in my mind. Um, and yeah, I hope y'all have an amazing whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I think I mean if I wanted to sit here and ramble I probably could, but I really feel like I hit all the bases. I don't think I've been having any other realizations besides just like I don't know, it feels like it's time to do stuff, come into stuff to really get clear on certain things as I move forward. So it was lovely seeing you all. They're playing just tech with the tube stations. We'll do, we'll do. Um yeah, I almost don't want to go, but I feel like I'm tired now. Oh, I gotta stay awake until tonight so I can fix my body clock. Was that it? Is there nothing else for me to say? I don't want to go. Let's play with filters. Glamour, sepia, haunt. I don't know. All right, bye.